All right, now moving on to data centers and Spokane's resistance, if you will. My colleague Tim Clauser put up an article early this week talking about how the Spokane City Council last month approved a 1-year moratorium on data center projects. And this week, then, Spokane County commissioners followed suit, proposing a 9-month version of a moratorium for the county. So that would cover a much larger area. Now, 3 Republicans got involved and they proposed, okay, maybe we should just do kind of a zoning ordinance here, not put the kibosh completely on data center development countywide, but create some zones where there might be less, NIMBYism going on. It ended up, at this point, not really moving forward. There's going to be further discussion of this. It's not a complete done deal one way or the other. But because of Tim's article, I had an opportunity this week to speak with Congressman Michael Baumgartner, and Spokane is included in his district. So I knew this was an issue that is on his radar. And I asked him about the debate because it seems like the resistance that might have been more on the conservative side, some of that has been diminished when you have some of these big players, these corporations coming in going, okay, so here's what we'll do, in return for this. Maybe we'll create our own power supply for this. Maybe we're going to, have our own water system so that we're not sucking off of the power grid and, off of the utilities. And so the ratepayers aren't ultimately, the ones who are victimized by this. So I want to share part of my conversation with Congressman Michael Baumgartner and where he kind of comes down on the whole data center debate.
We got to make sure data centers are done right in a way that communities understand. No community that a lot of data centers are essentially a local government decision. But I've introduced legislation that would make sure that data centers don't increase folks' electricity rates and don't increase water rates. And then it's really into a community discussion. A lot of people worry about data centers and artificial intelligence technology, but also, these technologies have a lot of potential to do things like discover pancreatic cancer at an earlier period to save lives. Obviously, there's a lot of national security implications with advanced computing technology and making sure that we can't have China having better computers than we have. But there needs to be better communications with industries. And if somebody like Spokane is going to ban a data center, I think they need to understand why are they doing that and explain it and make sure that people understand the issues. So I think there's things that Congress can do. I think there's some things that utility providers can do, to improve this conversation. But you're certainly, the premise of your question is, there's a lot of economic growth and that comes with this as well too, and then also things that supercomputers can do from the like medical advancements and others that have benefits.
So it's a complicated issue, right? Because in that Spokane case, this large load customer, unnamed large load customer that was going to be moving in for a data center, they were kind of negotiating with Avista, the utility provider there, and they said it would use up to 500 megawatts, that one data center, not producing their own power. So that, sucking off the grid that much obviously would have created concerns. So it's not an issue that is easily solved. It's not really a Republican, conservative, liberal Democrat issue to solve that way. But at this point, we certainly do have more red states that are kind of making accommodations and finding ways to allow these data centers to move in than we do blue states like Washington.